Hey, Rise, how are you? We are back with another Lunch with Gina tip on the heels of the fall boutique recruitment event that happened this past Sunday at Sarah Lawrence College, along with the book launch of the RIISE Roadmap to Independent School Success and Beyond. It was awesome. Thank you for all who attended, for our schools being there, for parents being there. There's a lot of great information, a lot of great energy. I thank my children, Elon and Chaz, for being on stage. I put them in the hot seat. They put me in the hot seat, but they were able to interview me on the reasons of how and why I did the book. So we talked about that, and it was a really great day. So today's tip, we're going to continue this tip as we launch the book for download on the website really soon. We're talking about tuning in. And the question is, how often do you spend checking in, tuning in on your child's academic development? And today we're really thrilled to have with us a friend, a RIISE family member, an indie school mom in her first year with her amazing daughter. We have Michelle with us this morning. Thank you. Thanks for being with us.
No, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and able to participate and provide whatever insight I can provide. Even though I am a new indie mom, we're a new family, but I still think that we can offer some information or advice to people who are still looking and making that decision themselves. So happy to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you. Not only families still looking, but those who are currently enrolled. And as a first-year mom, I mean, even going into the admissions process, and again, I had the pleasure of working with you, your family, you and your family dug right in. You get involved and excited and really thoughtful about the process from the beginning, and you continue to be as you're enrolled in schools, in your school. So it's also a great opportunity to remind parents who are currently enrolled to check in and tune in on their child's academic development, because it's really important to, again, partner in that way, not just on their social and emotional development, but on their academic development. And we as parents should not be intimidated by the type of schools that they're in. And wow, I might not know the curriculum. When was the last time I took a math class? Right? You still have to check in. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of conversation and dialogue that happens in the classroom around the topics that they're learning, a lot of questions, the opportunity to fail, and learn. So when we're at home, we can still have that general conversation. What's going on in class? How are you feeling about things? You don't get that. Oh, I don't get that either. So bring it to your teacher the next day.
Right.
These are really important things to do. So I just wanted to share that this is one of the questions, are you tuned in, checking in with your child's academic development? It's one of the questions at the end of the first installment of the RIISE Roadmap to Independent School Success and Beyond, in an effort to figure out if an independent school education is, that lifestyle is a good fit for your family, because it does require a lot of checking in. So we have a lot of other questions, but that question we're discussing today. My experience with checking in, I think one story that really stands out for me is about 4 years ago or so. My son, we were ending the Christmas break, a long break. He had a great book, a huge book that he brought home in the beginning of the break that he was really excited about. So I guess he was in third grade, reading proficiently. And I reminded him, we got to finish this book because it's the end of the break. And he called up next to me and said, "Hey, Mom, I got something to tell you." And I'm like, what is it? Waiting for that shoe to drop. And he said, I don't think reading comes naturally to me. And I was blown away by that. I mean, it caught me, and I'm like, well, why do you say that? Well, we're doing a lot of independent reading in the classroom, and I'm generally one of the last kids to finish reading. And my teacher said, I think that I need to speed it up. And I had a long conversation with him. A couple of things I said, listen, we got to find books that you really enjoy reading, so that you're patient with it. Also, Dad and I are going to read more to you, because sorry about that. That's my dog.
That's okay.
Because even though you're a proficient reader, that doesn't mean that we have to stop reading to you. Okay. And I remember hearing reading to your children, even as they get older, that hearing someone read, their inflections, their intonation, these are really important things. So I said, we're going to read more with you. And then finally, guess what? You're going to have to get really comfortable with reading because it's the foundation for everything. I wrote a letter, an email before the break was over to my son's teacher, kind of encouraging the teacher to watch words that you say, particularly a young Black boy. My question to you is what's going on with the reading comprehension? Is it reading comprehension or just, one of the last to finish reading? And no, comprehension is great, I was told. And a matter of fact, your son is one of the few children that I don't have to ask to reread the passage. And I said, well, that's what you need to say to my son. You need to say to my son, first, you're doing really well with reading comprehension. As we develop, as we move along, you might want to speed up your process because you might have limited amount of time. So for me, that was a checking in and tuning in. Chaz obviously brought it to my attention, but I was able to expound upon it and then take it from our to-do list at home, finding great books that you really enjoy, reading more to you. This is just what you have to do too. Then taking it to the teacher to say, listen, this is the way I think you need to approach my son to encourage him. And of course, and I like to say it's because we're at independent schools, the teacher was like, you are right. And this is what I'm going to do moving forward. So reading has, he's feeling much more natural about it. Do you have an example? Do you have an example, Michelle, of tuning in, checking in with your daughter in this first year? And she came in and offered you too, right? Into fourth grade.
She did. She came in as second, is a non-traditional entry grade. And to make matters more complicated, she has one of those late birthdays. So it became an issue about the grade that she was going to be put into. And it was something that, admittedly, we were a little I was a little hesitant about it. I think it took me talking to her dad, also talking to you, for me to get a better understanding about what we were getting ourselves into and what was about to happen. It's a different environment. They learn things differently. I remember going to open houses and saying, Singapore math. I mean, I'm going to have to learn math a whole nother way and kind of panicking myself. So this is all new stuff for Dakota. And because she's older, she's 8 years old, and she thought something was wrong. And, well, why do I have to do this? I already did this. And we explained it to her, and she's better off understanding now. I mean, we're approaching our second month, and in our third week, she came to me and she said that, the words that you don't want to hear, she says, Mommy, I'm bored. And I'm like, bored?
After we went through this process and I had these expectations, you're bored? Uh-oh, what's going on?
Right. But I have to say that I'm bored statement was quickly followed by, but I love my school and I don't want to leave, which was very important for me to hear as a parent. So I talked to her dad, and we decided that we needed to have a conversation. And we started off with her teacher. We reached out via email. She wrote back very quickly, which I'm sure you can attest to. And I'm learning now that that's just an indie school norm. And we had a conference call with her, and we told her what our daughter said. And she was very genuine. She listened, and she acknowledged that our daughter was ahead of a lot of, if not most of, the girls in her class, and that they were reviewing. And there may be some things that she might have done last year, but not to panic too much because it would eventually catch up. Right. She said if we still had some concerns, we could reach out to the lower school principal, which is what we did. And again, quickly. Everything happened so quickly. Within, I think, 2 days of talking to the teacher, we were in the lower school principal's office. Our daughter goes to Greenwich Academy, just to put them on blast in a good way, because yes, and things have been great with them so far. But this is part of what our experience has been so far. We met with the lower school principal. He too listened. He had done his homework. He had already talked to our daughter's teacher. He equally acknowledged her level of intelligence and said, but we want you to understand it is the beginning of the school year. Granted, it was 3 weeks in, but I'm a mom, and when your kid
Right.
says something,
You were anticipating this.
yes, and I was a little bit. But he explained how it's the beginning of the year, and that while they give validity to our concerns, they wanted us to give them a little bit more time to watch her progress. And they explained that they do have enrichment programs within the school designed for this particular purpose, because some girls, and it's an all-girls school, some girls or some kids are going to be higher or further along than others, and the school will work with them so that they're not bored. So when we heard things like that, it did ease our fears. More so her dad, he was the one push. He was like, this is good, this is good. And when we left the meeting with the principal, we both left out of there feeling confident about our decision to put her at GA in the first place. So they also have, I don't know how other schools are, they have cohorts where they put girls together in groups where they're closely to one another in terms of progress.
Yes.
So, and that's something that we're looking forward to as well. The enrichment programs, I believe, start in October. So we'll start to see a little bit more of that. Even her Spanish teacher sends home a request for us to send her work that she did last year, because she's been in a dual language program for 2 years. So she's ahead of the girls at her current school. And I appreciated that. I quickly gathered my materials together and I sent them the very next day, because I know it's about us doing our part as parents. We're not just sending our kids to these wonderful schools and expecting the teachers and the administrators to do everything. Our role doesn't end when they get on that bus or when they get out of our car. It continues. And that's how it's always been for me, and I doubt if it's going to change now that she's in an indie school.
Well, good. It shouldn't, because they are expecting that, and it does lend to more powerful partnerships. And I agree. A lot of our schools, particularly when children are coming in off years, they didn't start together. They're not at the same learning level, and even when they are at the same, they start out at the same learning level. There are some children who just excel a little bit more quickly around math or language. And many schools do have pull-out programs, right? So they will pull out a group of students who are excelling or moving a little bit faster, and giving them that extra opportunity to be challenged, have a little bit more rigor. And the enrichment is wonderful as well, because those are the resources really that makes indie schools just sparkle. There's so many resources to enhance what they already know and to challenge them. And speaking of that, I want to touch a little bit more on what we do as parents to support homework, different resources we do or have or tap into to support homework, particularly when we don't know it. And, after school tutoring or free lessons. And my thought around this is that, I don't know, I feel like I'm paying enough in tuition that those resources should be at school. I personally, I know I have a lot of friends that I deeply respect who parent really well, and they pull out the stops, right? And utilize not only financial resources, but other networks outside of school that might not cost anything to students. As a parent, I guess my time is really valuable. My resources are valuable, unless I see that there's a huge problem, and then I might need to question where I am in the school setting to begin with. I utilize after school tutoring at school, homework. My children have some gaps in the day where they're able to go to homework resource labs. And there's so many resources. So what about you? What do you do with your daughter?
Well, she's still young, and in terms of being in group, they use groups at GA. They don't say grades, but she's in group 2. So, but they do have what's called a bus and study hall, where it's only about a half hour. It's a little delay from when she gets out and when the bus picks her up. But Dakota is already in the habit. She does her homework there. There is a teacher there, and I know 1 or 2 occasions the teacher checked her homework, but I know I'm still going to check when she gets home. Right. But things like that, and as she gets older and more things are available to her in upper grades, I will be just like you. I will be taking advantage of all that they have to offer within reason, of course. I'm not going to gravitate towards everything. I know certain things may not fit
Right.
in terms of her learning, but whatever we can take advantage of, I'm all for it. I will make the time and I will make it happen so that she can get the full benefit of an indie school education, which is why we did this in the first place.
Yeah.
The resources are there for us to use, and we didn't have that. I know for me, we didn't have that in our local school district, which is why we sought this route in the first place. There isn't much out there. We tried to do stuff on our own, and you can still do that, but in an indie school, I think I know you definitely have more at your disposal than you would have in your local or neighboring public school, or even parochial school for that matter.
True. I mean, that, beyond the academics, my children take full advantage of the arts programs that they have, the different network and affinity groups that they have. What's sports, so I get it all right there. When they, my children are older now, 6th grade and 9th grade, and I pick up at 6 o'clock. I mean, they have plenty to do to support homework, to support their, other cultural enrichment as well at the school. So, and we also did as a school recently, a resource night, a parenting resource night, actually specifically designed for parents of color to make sure that families understood all of the resources, from the financial, the academic, to the cultural, to the art programming that's available to students, after the clock. And that was very informative. So, well, great. I'm glad we had a chance to talk about tuning in.
Yes.
We talk a lot as parents of color about tuning in around the social and emotional, the racial and socioeconomic disparities, and helping our children navigate through that. But I think it's still very important that we check in around academics. We are in academically rigorous settings, and there's a level of expectation around excellence that's there, but we still are responsible for checking in, right, Michelle?
Right, 100% responsible. These are our babies.
That's right.
They will always be our babies. They're in an environment that's conducive for better learning and higher quality of learning. But like I said in the beginning, we still have our job to do.
We do. So, speaking of jobs, you took your time out at your job to have lunch with Gina. So, you are the chief diversity officer at your university, but I don't want to take advantage of that chief level. And I'm going to say thank you for your time, and thank you for your input. Your support is tremendous, and you're an amazing mom. And we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you, and thank you for your support from the very beginning, and all that you and RIISE have done for our family, and I know you'll continue to do for others in the future. So thanks.
Oh, my pleasure. And speaking of that, one last housekeeping note. We do have, we finished off the event on Sunday with some phenomenal workshops around the admissions process. The workshops continue with the RIISE Roadmap workshop series that is being generously hosted by Riverdale Country School. And it is October 14th, October 28th, and November 3rd is 3-part series. So check in on the website, everybody, for the RIISE Roadmap series. Information, more details about the workshops are there, and the opportunity to RSVP. Space is limited, so please sign up as soon as possible. And that's definitely for prospective families. And one that might be of interest to currently enrolled families might be our 3rd and final workshop series on November 3rd. So we look forward to seeing you all then. Again, thanks for your support, everyone. The event was amazing this past Sunday. A lot of connections made between great families and great schools. We're signing off. Thanks for joining us for lunch. Bye. Okay, so great. I'm glad you didn't hang up.